All right, welcome back, everybody. Here again, Tayne Andrade with Grande Elite Cycling Team. Today, I'm joined by Henry York, also from the Rio Grande Elite Cycling Team, and Luca Haines from Empire Cycling, and at least in this race, racing for Fort Lewis Cycling Team, collegiate team. Today, we're going to be talking through the CSU Oval Crit. It was one of the, I think it was the last collegiate race weekend that we had in Colorado, one of the last double road and crit weekends we had at the end of April. Um, really cool course. It's been, as far as I know, it's been going on for over 20 years, certainly since, early 2000s. Pretty much the same course other than this first section where we now race through the CSU Plaza past the engineering building and some of the newer buildings on campus. Um, but yeah, it's definitely one of the best courses in the state. You two have both raced on this a lot. What's is this high on the list for you guys too? I know I'm biased because I went to CSU.
It's definitely one of my favorite courses. I mean, yeah, super technical, but somehow we still always average 30. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun corners on sketchy bike paths, which makes it really interesting.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's an
another reason to
iconic
like that.
course, and you get those tight turns, which really test your skills, and then you have like a really fast, long bend into the finish where you can like set up a train and go super fast for the sprint. So it's always a good time.
It's always good. So Luca is sitting two wheels in front of me in this video. He's on the pink bike. Unlike the Maverick crit video, his wheel is actually true. It's not wobbling around everywhere. I'm sitting right behind Simon Abraham from the CU cycling team, who is the former crit natty champ. Yeah, we're about, halfway through the crit lap. This year, I know I noticed this because I haven't actually raced the oval crit since before COVID, but it definitely felt bumpier than it used to be. I don't know if it felt like that to you guys too.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I've only raced it when it was actively snowing or not on the oval, so I wasn't really paying attention much to how bumpy it was. But you know,
I think that new diversion through the plaza made it bumpier with the those sort of pavers they have, and then there were a lot of like just dips and potholes, I guess.
The civil engineering work. Should get Chaz Hogenauer back out there. Yeah, so end of first lap, sent a flyer. No real reason why to send a flyer other than keeping the pace high, staying near the front. Um, Honestly, I tend to have some pretty poor warm-ups, so sometimes sending a flyer, first couple of laps is just kind of fun to see where everyone's at. Um, get a feel for some of the corners. Like this one in particular ends up being, I don't know. I thought it was probably one of the sketchier corners on the course. It's just, I don't know. It had some weird vibes. What did you guys think of it?
Yeah, it could push it. People could push you out wide there, and you get pretty close to the barriers on the exit sometimes. So yeah, occasionally it could feel a little sketchy.
I think especially too being on the pavers, you sort of I don't know. It doesn't have the same feel of, at least for myself. I don't know exactly where the limit is on my tires, just because it's a surface I don't really race on much.
Totally.
Definitely adds a little bit of I don't know, a little bit of extra risk to cornering.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially since, yeah, the rest of the course is, pretty solid pavement, and then the other half is just concrete and pavers. Um, yeah, this back half of the course, usually pretty chill. Everything, I feel like most of the things that happen on the course, as we'll see in this video, all happen on the first half. This back section, it just, I don't know, it's just wide open enough. Everyone keeps it chill. There's Luke Elphinstone racing for CMU. He's definitely one of the big players of most of our crits. He and Luca have a little rivalry going, I think. I think it's friendly, as far as I know.
Oh, very friendly, but very back and forth the entire time we've known each other racing collegiate. But yeah,
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 so
you
let's talk about
guys,
these teams we got here. Who are the
yeah.
major players, Tane?
So we definitely got Fort Lewis and CMU, as you can see in the video. It's a CSU home race, so they're here in force. Rio has, I think, 4 or 5 of us in the race today. Um, There's a lot of single riders though. CU also had a pretty large team, but honestly, most of them were kind of stuck behind the bubble. This Velovic guy, he, stayed up there most of the day. Honestly, it's now been so long, I don't remember all the other teams that were there. I don't think there were that many Primal guys. Um, I think it was mostly just us collegiate teams and then a couple of just like ones and twos of a bunch of other teams. But I guess in general, those are the CSU, Rio, CMU, Fort Lewis. Those have been the main protagonists of just most of the races anyway. Certainly Fort Lewis and CMU the last couple years, and this year in particular, were pretty much just going one back and forth, taking wins at every race.
Yeah, they're often the some of the best teams at nationals too. CU, CSU, Fort Lewis, and Mesa. I know each of those teams have won national championships several times.
Luca, at least, well, at this point in time, he was still road race natty champ. Um, so, got some stars and stripes in the race, just not this one. As Simon's here. Once again, you can see me as just like in the other videos. Have been struggling this year to find the cornering legs and the cornering confidence. So there's a lot of that in this video. And we can also see a brake trying to go. Bryce Fitzy up there just losing the wheel. I don't know if he was gassed or just feeling he was getting out cornered. Um, but we're only 3 laps in, so no one's really letting it go. There's Luke Levitt from CSU finally getting up to the front. At this point, I started just drifting back because, yeah, I had been at the front for the first couple minutes of the race and didn't need to be there anymore, and knew there was enough folks up there that wanted to weld it back together. Yeah, this is the fastest part of the course usually, so it's hard to see in the video, but coming into the oval, pretty much all the way until the bottom curve, it's all downhill. So you can see it on the bottom left, like everyone starts washing over the top. This is by far the easiest spot to move up. Um, yeah, we got a little move trying to go up over the top. Field's getting strung out. This is the bread and butter of the oval crit, especially just because all the spectators on the oval, so everyone definitely feels the urge to attack when they're on the oval
Yeah,
itself.
and I always found this turn to be a little sketchy, this first turn, because everyone's moving up because you get some speed, you get a little open space, and so people start moving up and it bunches up, and then you hit a pinch point where it constricts into that first turn, so a lot of people bumping shoulders there.
Yeah, for sure, and it's a little bit off camber too.
Yeah, and that first
Um,
turn too, once you hit a little bit like on the outside, it starts to slope down. So you're cornering, on sort of, on a like off camber away from where you're turning. That just you have to scrub a lot of speed no matter where you are in that corner. It
yeah,
definitely
it's
throws a
definitely a
curveball
tough
at
one
you.
now. Yeah. So yeah, we fast forwarded, I don't know, closer to halfway through the race. First couple laps, not a lot is really happening, kind of just attacks that go nowhere. Um, this ends up being maybe one of the more sizable breaks. There's a break up the road, and so this is the move to try and bring it back and try and get up the road. Um, I think it's just one guy up, yeah, one guy, no, group of like 4 up the road. Fort Lewis and CMU are both represented, so it was on us, Rio, CSU, and CU to either make it into the break or try and just bring it back. So that's why we've got Simon on the front from CU. This is Jorge Zapata on CSU right behind him. Um, it ends up being a pretty big chase. Simon puts a lot of work in. It looks, I think this is a Fort Lewis guy didn't quite make it up there. I think this is Henry Nelson. Yeah, I think that's Henry. He sits up and he definitely just tries to slow us up in the corner and, you know, kill the momentum. So I keep going, try and at least just keep us moving forward. Even if, we've got Gabe Gutierrez and Henry in the race and they're pretty good at sprint. They're better at sprints than I am. So I'm usually willing to spend some bullets at the very least to pull a break like this back if I can't get into it myself. Just to make sure we, actually make the thing.
Yeah, supposedly we're better at sprints, but we'll see what happens at the end of this race. But yeah, you got your work cut out for you because as far as covering moves, it's going to be mainly you and Cole as part of our team plan, with Gabe and I more focused on the sprint, not covering as many moves. You'll still see us up at the front occasionally to cover the odd move, but we're definitely holding a little bit back. Luca, what was your team's plan going into this?
Our team plan was sort of, I don't know. I had a break had won the year before. That was me, Luke Elphinstone, and Nick Carter, and the three of us stayed away. And we were sort of banking on that again. And there were a couple little moves in the race that felt like they would go. I know myself and Ian Williams were both sort of, testing the waters early and trying to see if there would be a little split that would go. And then after that, we sort of just thought, okay, we'll, sit in for a sprint because, at a certain point, once you're, I don't know, 45 minutes into a crit and nothing has gone and you're averaging 31 miles an hour, it's pretty certain that nothing's going to go. So we let CMU just sort of keep it fast. And then the plan was just sort of try to come around them at the end.
Yeah, so we can see some of that happening here right now. There's that break up the road. Luke is definitely just sitting on. Ian Anderson's on the right there. I'm just trying to make sure, we get these guys back. It doesn't matter if there's an attack over the top. We gotta end the games right here. Luca and Ian, I think Ian's actually the one up the road, and that's why Luca's sitting on and slowing us down. He's doing a good teammate job. It's good to
I
know
would
that
hope
you guys are on
so.
the
If
break,
I
you
was
know?
if
Yeah.
I was slowing you guys down and I did not have a teammate up the road, that'd be pretty brutal on my part.
Hey, look, Luca, we've been around long enough. Henry and I remember the days when Fort Lewis would do that because they didn't know any better.
Yeah, exactly. Some vintage Fort Lewis road tactics for sure.
Yeah. Definitely the tactics we saw from CMU in the road race the next day. But yeah, I think at this point everyone's definitely on my wheel. I just decided to bite the bullet and, make sure the brake doesn't go up the road because it's a pretty perfect break for CMU and Fort Lewis. I think they each had two in there.
I remember this.
And
This
I
was some serious watts you put down. That was crazy. You did 1,200 watts out of that turn, and you just been like holding 500 pretty much until you pulled them back. And for those watching, this is at altitude too, so it's pretty crazy numbers. He brings back this breakaway, and then I think I'm
Ian,
pretty close to the front
yeah.
at this point too to try and go with a counter move, maybe.
Yeah, my mess up here, I didn't like actually close the door. I kind of just assumed that Ian was going to fill the gap, and then he just didn't. Um, yeah, looks like Lucas Huseman was up there. So Fort Lewis had two. Lucas was in there from CSU, and then one CMU guy. Um, so break finally neutralized. We fast forward closer to the end of the race. More of those breaks we had a chiller period kind of in the middle, and then right here, kind of towards the end, there was a bunch of just a flurry of attacks. People definitely throwing some Hail Marys, hoping that it wasn't actually going to be a sprint. Especially knowing that, Luca and Luke Elphinstone are in the race because we know they got a mean sprint on them. Yeah, so trying to go off the front. Luca, I don't know. I don't know. There's like 15 minutes left in the race. I assume at this point you guys were it was a break or a sprint that you guys were going for.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the past 3 years, it's sort of just been like whoever opens up their sprint really, really early. I know Ian Williams in 2023 won that, or yeah, 2023 won, and he opened up his sprint as soon as we hit the oval, and then I got beat by Luke out of the break last year when he opened up his sprint into the oval. So we sort of knew it was a sprint and it would have to be a really long one. So we just sort of I guess just sat on and hoped that other teams would keep it fast. We had some of our guys covering moves, and just Ian and I tried to stay up there as much as we could.
This is pretty typical for a Colorado race. No one wants to control, and there's just kind of attacks going everywhere here.
Yeah, no one's ever satisfied. So the guy that's really going for it right now in the blue is Michael Watkins. He's one of the people that he's just solo rider. Um, Crazy strong. He's been doing a lot of track race in the last 2 years. And it's definitely showed in just the fact that he's kind of becoming a bit of a watt monster. Um, so definitely end up relying on Michael a lot in some of these races to bring some of these breaks back, especially when you're surrounded by just a bunch of teams. Um, yeah, so when Luca's talking about starting the sprint early, he like coming into the oval is just so fast right here that and especially in the sprints, you know, it's just like a track. You stay on the inside because it's the shortest line, and launching the sprint, you just yeah, coming around someone at like 35 miles an hour, not that hard, not that easy. Sorry. But there's definitely a couple more
It's
attacks that are ready to
if
go.
if they have the inside line.
Yeah. Um, yeah, a bit of an acceleration on the right, following Luke Levitt. Was it one of the CMU guys? Probably. At this point, I was pretty tired. I was definitely trying to lean on other people. I was not trying to launch my own moves if I could help it. Um, especially after welding it back together when that break with Ian was up the road, was not trying to drop a lot more watt bombs in this race until the very end. Um, But yeah, no one really feels like controlling. Sometimes CMU will put their team on the front. They like doing that at the CMU crit. We see that most years. Um, yeah, this was just me accelerating, just staying even with Sam Hart, nemesis of Rio Grande Elite Cycling Team this season. Um, this ends up being this has historically been one of the sketchier corners of the race. We call it the military science corner because people have often crashed into that building on the outside of it. And I don't know, it's almost gotten easier since they put in like a divider on the outside of that corner, just because it forces us to, I don't know, check a little bit of speed. Did you feel that, Henry? Or does it still feel just as sketchy?
That one felt all right to me. I mean,
Yeah.
it could get sketchy a bit if you try to take it really inside and you're like riding on the red pedestrian bumped portion of the turn. I did that once or twice and that freaked me out a bit. Like on purpose, but it still freaked me out.
Um, I don't remember if we actually had a gap. I assume based on how Sam is riding right here, I'm pretty sure we had a gap. I was totally happy to try and go to the line again with Sam since I wanted a bit of redemption. Based on the power here, though, there was definitely people on the wheel. Um, in hindsight now talking to Luca, I would assume that Sam was just trying to keep the pace high, just keep it strung out to make the sprint a little less hectic.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember it was something where Sam and Henry Nelson and Isaac and some of the other guys on the team came up towards Ian and I with, 4 or 5 laps to go and said, what do you want us to do? And we just said, keep it together and keep it fast. So that's exactly what Sam was doing here.
Here we are,
Around
two
this
laps
time
to
I got on
go.
your wheel, Tayne, I think. And
Yeah, this is the
yeah.
point. Yeah, so this is coming to the last lap. Fast forwarding a bit. None of those other breaks went anywhere. Um, Will Myers up here in this corner. I totally thought we were gonna die here. Will Myers and CC had a crazy save, just almost hitting the barrier.
Ooh.
Um, and at this point, I also thought we were just screwed for the
Oh,
sprint because I had Henry on the wheel, and we were so far. We're like 20 wheels back at this point, and moving up just requires just a big effort. And then I don't know, as usually happens, sometimes it just kind of opens up and you have some momentum. So I just sent it. And I just hoped that Henry was on the wheel. CMU just called out and just, yeah, tried to shut the door on the inside. And I definitely, it's hard to see in the video, but I hit that pedestrian grip pad and felt the wheel slide a bit. I
Yeah, I
think
lost the
Henry, you
wheel. I
lost
got
the wheel.
caught in traffic there.
Yeah. Henry couldn't quite handle it. So at this point, I was sitting pretty. I thought, oh my gosh, there's Luca's wheel. This is perfect. And then I definitely started getting out cornered because I wasn't willing to pedal through all the corners like the rest of the guys in front were. What were you thinking right here, Luca?
I think you can see it up here. I knew I had to get around Dylan and get on Luke's wheel. Um, and I think you can see it right in this corner here. That I
Yeah,
sort of just took Dylan on the outside, and got on Luke's wheel. And then I knew I just had to open it up. Because I didn't want to come from too far back because as we were saying earlier, if you're going, I mean, yeah, 40 plus miles an hour sprinting in the saddle around that corner, there's not really much you can do. If you got to pass two guys, it's a lot easier to pass one. So, yeah, I just knew I had to get around him in that corner and just, close my eyes and prayed a little bit. And yeah, I was
yeah,
just able to come out with more speed and I guess yeah, have a little bit of a good pop out of that last like on that last straight, take it home.
yeah, no, you played that pretty perfectly. Um, I definitely messed up on that last bit. I should have gone on the outside around the last lead out guy that CMU had, and I've not been in the sprints that often in most of my life, so I kind of just lost myself in where I was and what I should do. Um, yeah, Luca had a pretty solid post up here. Um, the post ups
That
on the
picture
oval
is
are
crazy
usually pretty iconic. Yeah, it's a good one.
because
It never
there was
disappoints.
the year before that picture is exactly flipped, where Luke has the exact same post up, and I have the exact same, like sort of the same gap, the exact same defeated head down look. Um, and yeah, the whole picture, you just flip it. And then 1 week later, after I got second, I won nationals. Then 1 week later, after he got second, he won nationals. So if you want to win nationals, get second at the Oval Crit. Um, is sort of what it sounds like.
Well, that's some good motivation to show up for the oval though.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Well, after walking through that, we're a little late to this, but looking at the Rocky Mountain Cup standings for the year up until at least this point in the Oval Crit, um, definitely a bit of a shuffle. Cole Tambury falls a little bit out. I'm still holding on to that first place spot. Ian Anderson jumps up quite a bit. Nico DeBarris did really good in the Oval Crit, so he moved up. He had pretty consistent form, at least early in the spring. And then let's see, Alex Mars fallen out, but Henry York is starting to make the come up. He's not quite in the top 10 yet. Um, so as far as just keeping track of the cup, it's looking pretty good for the Rio boys. All right. Well, that was the CSU Oval Crit walkthrough. Hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, let us know what we can do to improve the videos if you want to see anything different, and thanks for watching.